Welcome to Business is Good, the podcast all about what it means to be in business in the 21st century. Small and medium-sized businesses are the lifeblood of the UK economy, and globally they can and will have a huge impact on society, the economy and how we live our lives. From technology disruption to reworking a solution to solve the world's biggest problem, Business is Good is a podcast about what it takes to be successful and how every business defines that in different ways. Business is no longer just about being defined by what you do, but it's about giving back and redefining the problems and how we solve them in a way that works for you. I'm your host, Caroline Sumners, and I'll be giving you weekly inspirational stories from business owners who are building business and solving problems. This week, I'm talking to Sebastian Bates, the founder of the Warrior Academy, which is a global martial arts organisation that's been voted in the top 5 clubs in the UK. Sebastian now lives in Dubai, where he's expanded out the Warrior Academy to include the royal family of Dubai, which is a really interesting story in just how you expand your business beyond the United Kingdom and how you use social media to do that. Sebastian's a pretty driven person, and his vision for Warrior Academy is to build a socially conscious global organisation. And what's really interesting is the way that Sebastian talks about the focus on something beyond education and good grades, and how to build well-rounded individuals that are resilient and can thrive in this 21st century. So take a listen and enjoy.
So my name is Sebastian Bates. I'm the founder of the Warrior Academy, and the Warrior Academy is a martial arts organisation that specialises in the development of character in young people. So what that means is that we aim to radically transform a child's life within 3 months by focusing on developing their confidence, conduct and concentration. We started the Warrior Academy in 2011 in the UK in rural England, but it's now grown to a global organisation across the UK and the Middle East with over 2,000 students in 70 clubs. We're voted top 5 in the UK, and a lot of my work now is with the royal family in Dubai.
Wow, I mean that's pretty amazing. So what took you? Just firstly, what took you to Dubai from rural England? That's quite a kind of like step, isn't it? What was
it's a bit of a jump, yeah. We get asked that a lot, to be honest. So for the last 8 years, we've been creating martial arts clubs and building our organisation in lots of villages and small towns, starting in a village called Road in Somerset, where we had our first club was in a school with 100 students, and we had 20 sign up. So it was quite a substantial population of the school who joined us, which was quite amazing. But over the last 8 years, we've never really tested our kind of business in a really urban environment like a city. And initially, 2018, early 2018, I was looking to expand the Warrior Academy into London, and that seemed like the most sensible place to expand. But I've got a good friend in Dubai. I visited him over the summer, and we had a good look at what was out there, and we felt like we had something which would really benefit people in Dubai, especially because parents are so busy. And what we do is we really aim to help busy parents, help develop their child's character. And so yeah, we fancied the adventure, we fancied the challenge, and in December 2018. I was booked in to teach over 2,000 students in schools across Dubai, and that's how we launched it there.
That's amazing. I just sort of like seeing how it's grown and progressed so quickly is phenomenal. So
thanks.
So what got you into that into the sort of the Warrior Academy in the first place? What caused you to sort of start that as a business? What's the background to it?
Well, I've been studying martial arts and passionate about martial arts for about 25 years. I've been studying 6 different styles and taking 4 of them to national competition and competing professionally in Muay Thai in Thailand. And so martial arts has always been a big part of my life. Initially, I was actually studying architecture in Denmark. So I was set to be an architect. About a year and a half.
Right, that's quite okay. Architecture in Denmark to martial arts in Dubai.
That's it. So a slight pivot. But yeah, after a year and a half there, I spoke to my professor there, and asked her, if I really, smash this, where am I going to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And it was a really real turning point for me, because the answer I got was so uninspiring. And it almost felt like a limit on what I could achieve. And really, university was never going to be for me in the UK. I was terrified of accumulating, thousands of pounds of debt for something I wasn't sure I was really passionate about, which is why I studied in Denmark, where university is free. And as I'm half Danish, I'd be able to benefit from that. So that's what happened there. But very soon after that conversation, I decided to stop my studies, and I bought a one-way ticket to India with a good friend. We traveled around India. Then I moved on, went to Southeast Asia, and that's when I picked up Thai boxing. And I ended up doing a lot of Thai boxing and Thai boxing camps there for about half a year before coming back to the UK and doing a personal trainer's course. So I basically did a personal trainer's course in the UK, and it was a 6-week full-time course. I really wanted to do something active and to kind of use my body and my work, and to also kind of be my own boss, and just run my own business. But my first gig as a personal trainer was actually to teach Thai boxing. Coming straight from a Thai boxing camp, it was kind of a natural progression for me to do that. So I, started this club in a fairly rundown gym in Bath, which was a adult Thai boxing class. And it was the most testosterone-fueled club you've ever seen. It was full of guys who were desperate to fight, and it was very, very different to what we do now. But the ethos was there. And so, one of the things that really inspired me about that club was we were really helping some of the older teenagers who certainly weren't from privileged backgrounds through some really difficult transitions. And that's when I fell in love with the idea of mentoring young people. I thought to myself, how can I do more of this? But also, I kind of asked myself the question, what if I could catch these young people at an earlier age, and embed the lessons that were passed on to me through martial arts, a stronger confidence, a deeper level of concentration, a strong moral compass, all these really important values, that martial arts develops. And so I started a club in a primary school in a village, like I mentioned earlier, and we had an amazing response. And so from there, I expanded it, and within sort of 2 years, we had about 25 clubs and about 200 or 300 students.
That's amazing. And was that all from that first school that you got all of those people who were participating?
Yeah, so it started off in one little school. We started running as after school clubs, and then we basically just went through all the schools in Wiltshire and Somerset looking for after school clubs we could run. And so initially our model was completely based around after school clubs. It's very different now. We actually don't do many after school clubs at all. It's all kind of evening clubs.
So you talked a bit about kind of getting into the mentoring. Is that really kind of like the main aim now for the Warrior Academy? It's martial arts, but it's for an additional purpose, if you like. Is that why what you're doing with Warrior Academy?
Yeah, I mean the Warrior Academy really it's character development or self-development, if you like, for young people. But we use martial arts as a vehicle to achieve that, because it's just such an empowering activity for young people. But I mean, our goal is to develop a black belt mindset in our young students, and to help parents mentor their children through 3 of the biggest transitions children go through. And we work with over 5,000 families. We've interviewed over 2,000 parents about this, and those huge transitions that we found are, changing school. That's one of them. That can really impact children. Especially when their whole community is disrupted. Bullying, going through bullying, again, a massive transition that a young person goes through. And if it's not mentored in the right way, it can cause problems which go on into adulthood. And then, of course, adolescence. We not only are we helping young people at a very confusing time, but it's helping their parents mentor them through that as well. I'm trying to keep the lines of communication open, because often I find it's not a generation gap, it's a communication gap, which causes the problems in adolescence. But yeah, so those are the sort of problems and transitions we try and help people through, and we use martial arts to do it.
And is it mainly the parents that kind of are getting in touch with you, or do you find sort of increasingly that the kids are finding out about it from other kids that are in your academies, or is it a mix?
I think because we're so focused on solving problems, and it's normally deep-rooted problems that parents have that are very typical with raising young children, it's always the parents getting in touch.
Yeah.
You know, we never advertise martial arts class, because that's not our aim. We always, you know, if we're ever putting an advert out there for people to respond to, it's developing a certain trait or an aspect or a value, like confidence, conduct, or concentration. So that's where the focus comes from.
Yeah. So what is it? Is it a 10-week? How does it work? Is it sort of like every week, or is it last for 10 weeks, or how does the program work?
So after initial trial with us, initially every single parent who contacts us, we book them in for an interview. So we interview every single parent before we send out an invitation to our clubs. In the UK, we run 4 intakes a year. That just means we can focus on our current members at all times. And then during those intakes, you know, we can focus on new students and give them a mentor who's a current member. So those intakes really help the instructors with that. And when students join us after their trial, they're put onto what we call the black belt journey, with the idea of developing a black belt mindset or black belt character as the main goal, not just the black belt itself. And so that's typically an 8 to 10 year journey. And, you know, it guides students through those 3 main transitions that we've talked about. And gradually students end up doing more classes. So they typically start with 1 class, but then, you know, they do 2 and often 4 to 5 classes. We really start to push competition as well, because we know what that does to a child's character when they do start competing and stepping outside of their comfort zone. Again, that has to be done with great mentoring, or it's just not possible. And then towards the end, you know, with our warrior method, our 4-step warrior method, which is community, inspire, challenge, and lead. The final aspect being lead, where we actually train our students after they become black belt on our assistant instructors course, where we give them a guaranteed job in our organization at the end. And that opens the doors to becoming an international instructor and joining us as a 17, 18-year-old flying around the world teaching in the Middle East and the UK.
That's amazing. So that not only are you solving the sort of like those transition points, but you're also offering employment, guaranteeing employment. I actually, to be honest, before we started this conversation, I know I knew some about your business, but I never knew that you did that as well. So I think that's amazing.
Do you know what it is? When I was starting this, you know, everyone would say to me, "So what do you do?" And I'd say, "I teach martial arts." And the next question would always be, "So what else do you do?" And it was always a case of, you can't possibly just be doing that. And for the world's changing, and I think it's such an important thing to pass on to young people, that they can take their passion and turn it into a career. That's exactly what I've done. It's exactly what my team have done, who are massively passionate about martial arts. And there's just so much opportunity out there if you're clear on your message and if you've got the right mentoring. And that's what we want to do with our students. And the amazing thing for me is, you know, some of the students who join us when they're 4 years old, they're now, you know, 13, 14 years old. They're starting their assistant instructor's course. Soon they'll be 16, and they'll be working with the whole team full time. We've got others who are 17 years old now, and they're working with us, you know, which is amazing. We've got about 15 assistant instructors now, which means that in all of our clubs there's an additional black belt mentor, which is
wow. So you've starting to see some of those already come to instructor. So that must be so sort of rewarding and satisfying for you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's amazing. I just wish this was around when I was younger. You know, I would have jumped at the chance.
Yeah, I guess that kind of leads me on to another question, because it's one thing to sort of like set up a martial arts club. Like you said, you know, people say to you, "What do you do?" And you say, "I teach martial arts." It's another thing to then take it all those steps further and have that whole program in place. So what drove you to do that and decide that you were going to do all that extra stuff to not just be the martial arts instructor?
I think really the biggest thing for me was we we take our classes really personally. We really listen to our customers, our parents, our members. And so, as you get to know your members more and more and more, you start to dive deep into their problems. And if you're pretty proactive with growing your company, you start to find out, solutions. Then you test the solutions, you see what works, and then you just try and build on what works. And so, we've really been pushing it. And the fact that we teach so many students now really helps us to develop courses like, the assistant instructors course or the competition accelerator program, all these different things, or even the bullying program I run for private clients. All these different things which really are geared towards solving problems. And so yeah, that's probably why.
And do you see, obviously you've got an international business now. Do you see the same issues and same problems in Dubai? You mentioned you're in Dubai as you do in the UK.
Very, very similar, but slightly different. So typically in Dubai, you've got one or two parents who are incredibly busy. Dubai is one of those places where expats often go. They're going for an opportunity with their career or an opportunity with business, but it's very, very time consuming. And they're typically 30 to 50 years old at the peak of their career when they're in Dubai. And what that means is you've often got someone at home looking after their children, but the discipline is often very different to how they would be doing it themselves, I find. So often our place is kind of to nurture these traits of developing that compass, developing that moral compass, and really just to try and be there to assist parents in developing those really core values. And one of the things I'm really trying to get across in Dubai, where everyone is sending their children to private schools and spending huge amounts on fees, is that building a child's character is more important than getting high grades. And it's this idea of character over grades, because ultimately a child's character and the development of that influences every single decision in their life. Whereas grades, for me, it's something on a piece of paper to get you a job. Character is far more important. So again, that's the kind of differences I'm seeing over there. But also equally, it's these 3 C's that keep popping up in conversations, confidence, conduct, and concentration. And we've interviewed so many parents in Dubai and the UK now that the correlation is so similar,
And do you think that is you say you see that correlation? Do you see that is different from when you were growing up? Do you think that's just how it is now, or has there always been those problems for kids? It's just now we're much more aware of them.
I think developing those 3 C's, it's completely down to nurture over nature. I think you're certainly born with a higher level of confidence, or born with better levels of concentration. Naturally, that's just we're all born different like that. But what we found is that a child typically has 1 or 2, but rarely all 3. So, for instance, a child may be super confident, really high levels of confidence, but they may lack in concentration or in conduct behavior, or they may have amazing levels of concentration, amazing levels of conduct and behavior, but lack in confidence. So, really, our goal is to bring all 3 C's up to a high level, and just like I was saying, to nurture that over a long period of time requires us to work with parents, to work with the student, and to work with their teachers in school as well. So our character development program kind of brings parents, instructor, and teachers all together, where we all communicate, and it creates the biggest impact possible. But I definitely think it's always been like this. I can't imagine in the good old days 20 years ago that all children had amazing confidence, conduct, and concentration. Certainly things have changed with social media and the way we communicate. In a lot of cases, studies are showing how, concentration in some areas has gone down. But again, if you're a good mentor or coach or instructor, your method for engaging has to improve to deal with children nowadays. That's just a simple fact. One of the things we're doing right now is a cognitive study to study the impact our course has on a child's cognitive development over a period of time, which is quite interesting. Studying things like long-term memory, short-term memory, working memory, reaction times, that sort of stuff. So if you ask me in a year's time, I might have some really interesting data for you.
Cool. Okay, I'll do that. I mean, you've talked a lot about, how you got started and the sort of results you're starting to see, but what's been your highlight so far? Is there one? Can you pick one out, or is there too numerous?
My highlight so far. We brought the Warrior Academy, and it was a really brave move to expand the Warrior Academy abroad. Let alone the Middle East, where it's such a different culture. But to be recognised so quickly in the Middle East for providing something of really high value, to then be invited by the royal family to teach them in Dubai and the UK was a real privilege. And to be teaching them for 6 months regularly was an incredible thing. So I think that's certainly been the highlight of my teaching career, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So actually, tell us a bit about that. How did the royal family in Dubai come about, or is it just tenacity and, just getting out there?
I think the message just got out there. I think, what we're providing in Dubai is quite different to anything else out there, especially that focus on character development. It's just not articulated in the same way that we are, that we're doing it. So I think that appeals to certain people who certainly look for that sort of thing. Then I was very quickly contacted, asked to come by for some private sessions, which went down really well. And then long-term sort of mentoring began from there.
That's brilliant. So what's next? What's on the horizon? Is it another country, or is it, just expanding where you are? What's next in plan for Warrior Academy?
So I think the next thing we're going to try and do is create the first ever boutique-style Warrior Academy dojo in the middle of Dubai. So we've got a full-time academy as a home instead of hiring halls. That's our first goal. I think after that we're looking to expand to Abu Dhabi and then potentially along the Gulf and the other countries along the Gulf. So that's the sort of 5-year plan there. But again, within the next year, we're looking to create the first international Warrior Academy World Championships. We already had we run fairly big competitions in the UK. We have about 200 or 300 people attending. And we had 2 of our students from Dubai fly over to the UK to join us in the competition, which was amazing. And, for me, just starting out in Dubai and having people have that much, trust and faith in our program was a real privilege as well. So we're very grateful for that. So looking to push, all aspects of what we're doing in the Middle East and the UK, I guess.
That's brilliant. So watch this space, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, so obviously you started this from, the ground up, and it was you, I guess only you at one point. So what advice would you give to someone wanting to start their own business?
The advice I'd give, you mentioned it was just me starting up, that's right. And I think it's one of the biggest things I've found is we rarely do great things alone. And it's so important to trust people to grow your team, as difficult as that can be, especially when it's your child that you're nurturing this business. And if you don't let go of some control, you are never going to grow your business. And I think the reality is, it's worth risking everything to trust people. And that's the message I would give to startups. Once you've got in place what you need to run your business, to start looking for the right people to help you. And because if you're just on your own, so many things can go wrong. Initially, I was on my own. I had a really bad parachuting accident, and I almost lost it all. But fortunately, I started to grow my team quite quickly after there, to the point now we've got about 30 staff and lots of assistants, which really help. But that ability to outsource and delegate is really what I found to kind of be the differentiator between a successful business and a not so successful business, or someone who's enjoying running their business, or someone who's completely overwhelmed by their to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is the key, and I think it's scary, isn't it, when you have to do that for the first time, or you need that to do that for the first time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And is there a particular, who was your first hire, if you like, whether it be contractor or, someone just working for you part-time? Who was your first hire?
Our first kind of main full-time instructor would have been Matt Hillier, who's now our UK area manager. And he was working a busy full-time job, and for him, he had to make the very bold decision to quit his full-time job and to do what no one had thought possible, and teach martial arts full-time, which wasn't really a standard career, but he was just so passionate about martial arts, and he obviously had faith in me and trusted me, and it's worked so well, and just watching him grow through our program, and now he manages all 20, 30 people in the UK, and manages over 1,000 students in the UK and 50 clubs, and he's absolutely smashing it, So having someone like that on your team, it's really beneficial. And the fact is now he's gone through most of the different roles in the business. He's able to pass on that knowledge to other people and other staff and to train them up for other roles. So it works very well.
That's brilliant. So is there anything or any resources or any people or anything that you've done or that you found along the way that really helped you on your journey?
I'd certainly say finding mentors en route is really important. Certainly, doing a business course is really, really useful. It's almost always worth the investment, providing you've had good references and good referrals from it. I think the best thing I've ever done to grow the Warrior Academy was start the KPI program, the Key Personal Influence program, with Daniel Priestley. We've tripled in size in the first year since doing the course, and it's just been an absolute turning point and a life-changing course for us. So
there's a shout out for Daniel straight away there, then, isn't there? He's going to start using that in his. He's going to use that little clip, hopefully.
No problem. I'm happy to shout out for him. I owe him, so.
Yeah, I mean that's. I guess we've got that program in common, haven't we? So, and it's certainly, and I think certainly one thing that does do is it just puts you in a network. And I hate to use the word network, but it is that, isn't it? Of people that are. All looking to grow their businesses and all very sort of like-minded, and it's that kind of thing that really helps you on your journey, I think, because when you're feeling 100%. a bit like, oh, why did I start this? You kind of,
it's so true, and it was. I remember kind of joining the group, and it's so hard to find entrepreneurs who are really smashing it, especially in rural England. I don't really know where to find people like that. It's quite tough, but. This was 300 people in one room, all on the same mission, all in the same kind of period, stage of their business growth.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing feeling, isn't it? Everyone's kind of really going towards the same goal, really aligned with each other and what they want to achieve. And it's that level of accountability as well, which it's great to read books and to get knowledge from books. And by all means do that, especially when you're starting out. That's the best way to do it. But I think when you find yourself, a group of people who are all on the same level, a team of 6, the accountability is just a phenomenal way to push you forward. That's really helpful. That's really helped me. Our accountability group was fantastic during the course.
Yeah. I guess you can find that in sort of many places, can't you? I know certainly in my local kind of co-working community, although that's not within the KPI program, there's certainly people that you can be talking with on a day-to-day basis in terms of keeping you accountable and still, making sure that you've got people around you at the same point of the journey or just a bit ahead of you. And I think for me that's been one of the most important things, making sure I've got those groups of people around me that kind of get what you're going through as well.
Yeah, completely. And being an entrepreneur is a pretty lonely sport. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
You've got the people around you, but it makes it so much more fun when you make it a team sport, right? And you start to take on other people's problems and they take on your own problems. And, when you're really working as part of an accountability group, you might spend, an hour a week sitting down trying to solve other people's problems. But the benefit of that is you've then got 5 or 6 other people in your group who come from different environment, come from different places, have different experiences, who can then give you valuable insights into solving your problems. And by doing that, you all accelerate, much, much faster. And that loneliness disappears because you're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess one of my next questions would be, what do you wish you'd known when you'd started out? Is there something that, it took you years to discover, or, for me, it was actually that finding people around me. And I feel like I was on my own a bit too much for the first couple of years. And it was only when I found that group of people that I thought, oh, crikey, why didn't someone tell me about this before? Is there anything that you think that about?
I think really difficult. I think I would have delegated earlier, but I've already talked quite a bit about that. That's certainly something I would have done though. I mean, just having that few extra hours a week because you're delegating some admin can really mean that you're giving more back to your customers and to your business and helping that grow. I feel like I ticked a lot of boxes, by researching and educating myself and reading a lot, and perhaps doing the course earlier would have been good. I mean, I did the course after 7 years in business. If I had done a similar course 3 years into business, I might be in a very different position now. So maybe my advice would be seeking a mentor earlier on.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I think I was about 3 years in before I discovered that actually a mentor would be a really great idea. And I think I kind of had this, I worked in corporate environment before, and when I came out of that, I was a bit like, I don't need anybody, because I was so, I was so in that kind of like, where you had a mentor and you had a manager and you had a team and you had all of that. And I came out of it and was like, I'm on my own. That's great. And I think I stayed in that too long, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I do agree. You do need that. I think finding the mentor, finding whoever that is, your group of people or someone that's been there. I think that's a great answer.
And of course, the funny thing is, when you're starting out, you're so cost conscious, and you're watching every single penny because you need to, and really you should be throughout business. I think, to stay lean and to not be wasteful. But I mean, it's if you've got a £10,000 course, which is potentially it's got the power to save you so much more than that, and to make you so much more. I think you're going to be paying for your mistakes either way, whether or not it's by actually physically paying for them by making mistakes yourself, or by paying for a course which will teach you how not to make those mistakes and to have the accountability there from the beginning to guide you through them before you make them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, actually, I think there's been numerous times where I've thought, oh, I did that. Why did I do that?
Oh man.
But you're totally right. It's one of those things, I think, but you've got to find, I think you've got with a mentor and things like that, I think you've got to find them at the time when you're ready. And I totally get that take on board your advice about finding that earlier. But I think that you've got to be ready and sort of willing and open to not necessarily advice, but sort of like the environment that brings with it, having a mentor. And unless you are, I think it's just kind of, you're almost paying lip service to it, aren't you, a little bit? Yeah.
And I mean, going into a course or pay for a mentor and just expecting it all to be done for you is obviously a terrible idea. I think you sign on the dotted line, you know what you're signing up to, and you've got to expect to be working 3 times as hard as you are before you sign up. And if you've got that in mind, then, like you said, you're joining at the right time. It does make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there anything, I guess, just going one last question back to your business. Is there anything that your program has done for your clients that you didn't expect? Or is it sort of exactly as you hoped it would be? Or has there been anything unexpected along the way?
I suppose there's 2 things. Quite a few things that, over time have evolved and come through the business, which I didn't necessarily expect. I think becoming a dad changed the way I see our classes. Initially, I was adamant that children and adults shouldn't be trained together. How can you, as an instructor, give the full development to an adult as well as the full development to a child, because there are such different needs and wants in a class. But really, working in Dubai and being a busy dad myself, it's a case of our family classes. They're really geared towards families bonding together. So we start them at the beginning of the weekend, and it's amazing to watch families, whole families, 4 or 5 people in the family come together, put their uniforms on, and have an amazing class, bonding over martial arts, which is such a good activity for community and bringing people together. So that might be the only time a family gets to be together during the week, especially if they're really busy. So that kind of evolved over time. I think my whole mindset with taking the Warrior Academy global as well is something I wanted to pass on to our young students. And so I've talked a lot about teaching them, alternative ways to a career and taking their passion into the workplace and building their lives around their passion rather than just trying to find a job. And I think our business gives thousands of young people the tools to live a happy and successful life. And it's developing that black belt mindset and, strong mental health. But it's that global mindset I also want to impart on students. And so what we do is we've aligned with 2 of the UN goals to improve health and education, partnered with B1G1. So we've got automatic donations going out to charities around the world. So throughout a child's black belt journey, which might take 8 to 10 years, they'll give 365 days of life-saving clean water to a child in Ethiopia, a few months of education to children in India, and throughout their journey, there'll be several bicycles they donate to children in Cambodia, as well as a well, which they'll be building in Africa. So just one student has an impact. When you have 2,000 students having that impact, it's amazing. And I think when we teach a child that, I really kind of feel it's our responsibility to teach a generation that they can and should impact the world positively. But then in empowering them, that the impact they make can actually be massive, especially as, we have such a focus on teaching leadership skills. We want them to lead that change as well.
Yeah.
So the lesson we give them on, you can and should make this global impact, we want them to go out and teach that as well. And then that compounding effect, if we can say we were at the center of that, to me, that's a success. So
yeah.
That's our vision. It's not martial arts. It's leading positive change in the world and making a huge impact.
I think that's brilliant. And I love we're actually talking to the guys over at B1G1 for one of the later podcasts. So everyone will find all about that as well. And I work with them as well as part of my business, and I give to I support women, specifically women's projects in education and sort of setting up their own business. So, and I think that's a really great way of having that additional impact, like you said. So not only are you having that impact around confidence and resilience in the children, you're actually doing that additional impact with that, and you're putting your money where your mouth is, and just the whole ecosystem then is sort of coming together, isn't it? And I think that's probably a really great place to finish, to be honest, because you can't really say any more than that, can you?
No, that's true.
I mean, it's just
a natural ending.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing everything you're doing within your business, but you're also and the amazing results that's getting, but you're doing that additional as well. And I think that's what this podcast's all about, really. And and why that's so important, to be honest, because I think we all know from our own sort of who we buy products from, who we buy services from. You want to know that you're buying from someone that is giving that additional support and giving back and leading the change that we know is important. So definitely. Well done, and thank you for your time. It's been brilliant to talk to you finally.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that edition of the Business is Good podcast. Isn't Sebastian just the most motivating and interesting person to talk to? I actually feel like I might have to go out and start doing some martial arts. I mean, we all know I'm not going to, but I felt like, well, maybe I should give this a go. sounds all very empowering. So who knows, in future episodes you might hear about my journey into martial arts. Anyway, that's it for this week. Tune in next time, and that's it for now from the Business is Good podcast. Thanks.